Guess who's back? Good morning. How are you? Welcome if you're new. Welcome to the craziness, and welcome if you're back. God, I missed you guys. You have no idea. Let's lower the classical music. I'm all off today. Because I didn't do any writing this morning, but I'm trying to make a spot right on my desk. Let's see. What do I got going on here today? Well, my husband did a very good thing. He loaded me up with little chocolate snacks for my desk. Every card that he gave me came with some little chocolate. The Lindor, this is milk chocolate, good. And of course these. And then of course this. But when I got home yesterday, there was a fun mail for me from Creations Morin, Morin, and it had a little more candy for the sugar lady, and it had a little note in here thanking me for my purchase and what to do with the putty. If it's too soft or stringy, put it in the fridge, and if it's too hard, hold it in your hand. Okay, and so the putty is here. It is Christmas Wish, Winter Candy Apple, which is loaded up in my pen right now, Marshmallow Fireside. I have two of the Peppermint Swirl, and Snow Day, and they all just smell exactly like you think that they would smell. Snow Day was really familiar to me. Let me see here. Come on. Ugh. Snow Day reminds me of like when you're standing outside with something warm in your hand. It has a very holiday first snow kind of smell to it. I love it. I have, I believe, Peppermint Swirl in my pen. I did it last night and has a nice little Peppermint Swirl kind of a look to it. Let me see here. Is it Peppermint Swirl? Oh no, it's not. Oh, I lie. It's Winter Candy Apple. I have been on an apple kick. I ate every kind of anything apple all weekend long. Apple pie with vanilla ice cream and apple cider donuts. Okay. Yes. You could smell it as soon as you open it. It's got I eat the caramel apples, but it has that red sugary kind of smell to it. And so here's what I'm doing. I did not load my pen or torture you guys with watching me load my pen on the pen. I took this out and I loaded it because I've been hearing from a few of you that you've also shattered your pens or you've broken necks into your pens. I have two pens that have necks stuck in there, not the metal, but the plastic. And I'm just not doing that anymore. So I've had this in here. It's a little cool in my house. Usually the heat is down. And yeah, that's what's going on. I have a towel on top of my desk because before I went away and my son was staying here with with Mr. Foofy, who has not stopped staring at me since I got home. So I had to put the towel on my work desk because Foofy likes to jump up on my desk. Now, I came home. I'm a mom. My son is 37. I knew that he was not on this desk. The same way I would know if my son said, "No, I didn't have a party, Mom." So I knew that Foofy was not on the desk. I think he was a little depressed. And so he didn't climb up on my desk, but the towel is still here. So now I'm torturing you guys with trying to get this back in here. So I'm dying to try this putty because when I did have my museum putty in the pen, when it's working, it's working. And I was putting it in the freezer and it still wasn't working right. But when it's working, it's working. And I think it was just getting like old or it was just impossible to work with. So I was like, I really want to try buy some potty. I got a potty. Buy some putty. And I did get from the Diamond Daughter Putty last summer, and I had gone through all that, and I was like, oh, let me spread it around and get some other putty and back the distributors that were on the list for jingle drills. And you try and spread it around a little. So I really missed my little painting here, and dying to try the putty to see how that works. I have on my desk also a little Bodum, drip coffee. You put, it has the basket, so you don't need paper, and you just put your coffee in there and you do a pour over. And I had crocheted this a while ago. It's really just for my counter, but I'm like, hey, you're going to be a cozy now. And so that's working out really well. The coffee is delicious. And it's so hot. Yum. I love it. And shoot me, but I was in my local supermarket, and let me get the next color out here for you guys. I'm actually working towards the bottom. I was in my supermarket, and I saw that they had, what color do I want to use? Where do I want to go? What's screaming? Me. All right, maybe these little half moons. Only because it's looking at me and I know where it is right now. And so they had something called Liege waffles. Did you ever see? I've eaten half already, but this is what I used to make in Petalbell. I used to make these Liege waffles. They're a yeasty kind of dough. It's a Belgium street food, and it has like pearl sugar in there. Years ago, I was watching Rachel Ray, and she was in Belgium, and she was coming down a ski slope. And when you got to the end of the ski slope, and if you saw this episode, please say, oh, I remember this. It was the only way you would get me on skis, let me tell you. When you got down to the end of the ski slope, there was a little hut, and they were making coffee, and they were making Liege waffles. And when you came down off this mountain, you skied right over to the, well, that's where I would have did. I was skied right over to this little kiosk, and I would have gotten myself a nice piping hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate, and I would have got a Liege waffle right off the, well, you could have them right off the waffle iron. Well, this is picking up nicely. All right, we already have, well, I picked up a whole bunch. Now where are you gonna go? And that's all I remember from this episode of her being in Belgium, was coming down that ski slope and going and getting herself a waffle. And then walking around Belgium and just saying, this entire country smells like vanilla and sugar. So Liege waffles, I hope I'm saying it right, because for a while there I was saying Liège. Liege waffles are the street food of Belgium, and they're everywhere. And like here in Philly, it's the soft pretzel, and we have like pretzel. We used to have kids that used to come around with a cart, and they would, scream out that they had fresh pretzels. And housewives I would be with my grandmother on a Saturday morning, and we would be cleaning and stuff, and that was our break time when we heard the pretzel boy come around with his little shopping cart that was probably his grandmother's, and he had all hot pretzels wrapped in towels in there, those fresh soft pretzels, the long ones, and he would be screaming, fresh pretzels, and my grandmother would go get her wallet, and she would go get us a couple of pretzels, and they would have spicy hot mustard, and she would say, we're going to take a break. And that's what we would do. She would have her coffee, that perked coffee pot. I would have a Coke, and we would sit with our hot pretzels, eating our pretzels at break from doing the laundry and helping her vacuum and whatever else we were getting ourselves into that day. And But if, like, they had the spicy mustard, like if you go to New York, when I opened up my place in Center City, Philadelphia, and being that my ex-husband was from New York, and we had this courtyard that wasn't being utilized because it had a wall around it, and no one wanted to sit in there because, you know, people are sitting outside. I don't know why, but they want to be seen. They want to see people. I loved my courtyard. I did. I just was like, this is like private, and you could, but they didn't want that. So we turned it into, we put a kiosk in there, and we were trying all different foods that would maybe work in there. And my ex-husband had bought the really famous, what are they called? Oh my God, knishes. So for New York, I mean, I think of a bagel as being a street food. They think of it as like knishes, or they have the foot-long hot dogs that are, but I think more of a bagel is more, you'll see people walking around with a bagel in New York more than a knish. So in New York, they put spicy hot mustard on a knish. And I guess in Philly, we use the spicy hot mustard on our pretzels. We like the Golden's spicy hot. And so when I opened up Petal Bell, and I was thinking what I wanted my cafe to be, like, it was already something that I was thinking about since I was like in my early 20s. If I could do anything, what would I do? And it always was opening up a cafe. Or I had another idea in mind, but that turned into a Victoria's Secret, so that was done. Mine was a little bit more geared towards really catering to women, though. But, you know, big dreams, no money. So when I opened up Petal Bell, when I was, you know, thinking, I had Petal Bell all laid out for me, especially from doing the artist's way. I mean, really, it was getting to be serious. My ex-husband had the restaurant in New York, and he was saying, you know, I think it's your turn up at bat. I think, you know, it's time for your concept, you know, that you've been talking about for like the past 10, 15 years. And I said, well, I don't think it's the right time because we're in an economic downturn. But this is why you don't have partners, because, you know, and especially if your partner is your significant other, really a bad idea to have partners. I think there's very few husband and wives teams that can make it work, but we couldn't. And, you know, against my better judgment, I let him talk me into opening up Petal Bell at the wrong time. And, you know, he was just convinced that we're in New York, and New York is cryovac away from the rest of the world, and what goes on in the rest of the world doesn't happen in New York. I never believed that at all, even though I just didn't. There were things that were so right about Petal Bell, and there were things that were just, for me, signs that this was the wrong time. And the one sign was, I have a brain in my head, and I can think for myself. And, you know, I really did cave to, you know, him saying, you know, it's your turn up at bat. And it really was not anything that I saw myself being successful at. But anyway, Petal Bell was already in my head. I knew what I wanted it to be. I knew how I wanted it to look. And in the end, none of that happened, because I think he started to realize that I was right, that this was a mistake, and he started to panic, and he started to change a lot of things that were, you know, not my dream. And it really was, you know, I really never felt comfortable in Petal Bell at all. I just always felt like I hated walking in there, and I just wanted to leave. No matter what I did, it never felt like it was my place, or that it was my dream or my vision. It's very difficult to be in that situation with a partner. Okay, is this the right one? It doesn't look like there's enough in there. I don't know that I have more of these. That's going to be interesting. Okay. So when I was talking to him about, you know, what I wanted Petal Bell to be, you know, he had this way of just like always like, you know, furrowing his brow and shaking his head no. So it was at that point, it was like, well, then I don't really think that we should do it, because this is what I want and this is what I foresee. And I had remembered that, you know, when you're in New York, you need something kicky and catchy, and, you know, at times, like, you know, you see places in New York and you wonder, like, well, what is this place? Like, what does it mean? Like, I don't understand the name or whatever. And even Petal Bell. Petal Bell was if you're old enough, or maybe they still have them, I don't know. They used to have these, like, little generators that you could put something in to a generator. I'm not being really specific. On your computer, there used to be, like, you know, those things that would come up on your navigation. Like, now it's called Big Brother when you're talking about something. Like, I'm sure the next time I'm on Google or something, I'm going to have all these waffles attacking me. But at the time, there were these, like, there probably still are. It was like, what would your name be if it was a flower? I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me put my name in. And my first name, Elisa, came up as Petal. I was like, well, that's not really a flower. It's a part of a flower. Or is it a flower? I don't know. This is not coming off. This is getting gooey. It smells delicious, though. And I'm like, well, let me put my middle name in. And I put Maria, and it came up Petal Bells. And I looked up the flower, and it's a very beautiful flower, and it does, they look like little wedding bells. They kind of come up and they dip down, and the leaves, the petal turns up, and they look like little bells. And I was like, oh God, that's really pretty. Petal Bells. And it's like, I don't know, do I really do it? I don't know. There was something about that name at the time, and I think it was like tying into this theme that I had in my head about, you know, I read Eloise as a kid, and how Eloise lived at the plaza with her nanny because her mom was good friends with Coco Chanel, and she was always on the road. And so she lived in the New York at the plaza, and with her nanny, who was English, and she lived there with her little turtle and her dog that looked like a cat, and she just, like, terrorized everybody in the plaza. And I was like, oh, I just love Eloise. I didn't want to be Eloise, but I did want to be her friend. I think that we could have been good friends, Elisa and Eloise. And so I remember going to the plaza and seeing the portrait of Eloise in the tea room. And that's where you would go and bring your daughter to have tea at the plaza. It was like a big thing. And so I had this idea of what I wanted Petal Bells to be. And Petal Bells was definitely a little girl, much like Eloise. And I had this whole theme in my head. And a friend of mine is a very, at least in Philly, famous pop artist. And he was going to come to my store, and he was going to paint this idea that I had in my head about all these characters from my childhood that I wanted to have on the wall of Petal Bell, and for big girls and little girls, and but also not be so feminine that men didn't want to come in or hang out, but also have it be very boho type of place. And I wanted it to be for artists and creators, and I had these bookcases with board games on them, and if you wanted to sit down with your friend and, you know, have a little game of Scrabble or just read a book, like, this was a place, this was the energy that I wanted in there. And when my ex-husband got involved, all that went out the window. I had signed the paper. I had said, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take over this property. And this is the establishment. This is what it's going to be. And from his sphere, it just morphed into something totally different. But the one thing that I fought for, this all comes down to the waffle, was the Liege waffle. And I got everything directly from Belgium. I got the flour, I got the yeast, I got the pearl sugar, I had everything imported, I got the waffle iron, I got all of it, and I'm telling you, I had guys coming in from Wall Street walking over for these waffles. Mm. And I didn't stick to just vanilla and sugar. I made all different kinds. I made one stuffed with Nutella. You know, I took it to another level. I made ones that were rum raisin, where I had a mister and I would spray like rum on them. I had ones that were like breakfast ones, and they were delicious. The recipe was delicious. The waffles were delicious. No one had anything like it until I go to the Acme and I see that now Eggo has them, but they don't have the real pearl sugar. The thing about the Liege waffle was that you would put the dough, you had to scoop it. It was like, it just kept bubbling and bubbling and bubbling from the yeast. And you had this sugar that was like rock salt. And when it would go onto this iron with these very deep, deep pockets, the sugar would burst and it would caramelize on the outside. So you had sort of like this crunchy coating at certain spots, and this doughy, yeasty waffle. Oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. But I was out of business on my 1-year anniversary because, of course, the economic downturn, everything went bust in 2009. And that was that. Good memories, though. So that's how I got the name Petal Bell. Well, Petal Bells was my name, but of course my ex-husband said, well, I think it should be Bell with an E on the end. I'm like, yeah, beautiful petal. It sounds like a flower store. Not that it didn't already, but it sounded like a flower store even more. Anyway, and my friends in New York still call me Petal. They still call me Petal. And I'm loving this classical music station. Again, on YouTube. Classical Christmas music. All you need. I don't know. It might be a little warm in my house, and this putty is feeling a little gummy. I didn't go with the peppermint because I know that I think they use essential oils, and that is a heavier essential oil, and I think that it is always a stickier one. The ones that have a higher essential oil to them. I am doing the right one, okay. And what else? Cape May. So we had that wake on Thursday, and John was still upset. This is his childhood friend. Well, not really childhood. I think they met in high school. So he knew his mom, and for what I understand, his mom was a kind of a cool chick. And I sat with her girlfriends at the wake, and they were the bomb. Her girlfriends were just so cool. And but John certainly remembers. He was like, her nickname was Pee Wee. He's like, Pee Wee was like, she was always like my mom, not my Johnny. He didn't do that. Not my Johnny. And like she knew full well it was her Johnny, much like my husband. So she was just pretty cool. And from what I understand from her girlfriends, it was like the door was always open. You were always welcome at her home, especially on Christmas Eve. She had everyone there. She did all the cooking, and it was just like always a good time. And so, with my husband being on the tail end of just, losing his mom, and he's feeling for his friend and how, he's like, it hasn't hit Johnny yet. And I'm like, all my husband's friends are named Johnny, like him. So I never know who I'm talking about half the time. So if you're confused, you'll catch up. And he just was like, it hasn't hit Johnny yet, much like me. Like, I knew that my dad with the COPD, and Johnny knew with his mom with the COPD. Listen, our parents came from a generation at 16. They were smoking 100s. My dad, he had this knack of smoking a cigarette. The ash would be this long, and it wouldn't fall. And Rita smoked her Camels, Johnny's mother, with no filter. You know, my Uncle Georgie too, with the camels, with no, or was it Viceroy? Chesterfield. Yes, my dad smoked Benson and Hedges 100s. So, you know, that was the generation. You smoked. You smoked. So, you know, even though I knew my dad with the COPD and Johnny with his mom, who had it worse with the COPD, you know, you're still not prepared, I don't think, or it comes at you at different, you know, when you least expect it. And so he's like, you know, he wanted to be there for Johnny, and then, like, he was just like, I'm not going into work tomorrow. I'm just not going. And I'm taking Saturday, too. I'm like, oh, great. It's going to be an anniversary, you know, what was a weekend is now a week. And we left for Cape May on Friday. Did I put one too many in here? Maybe. Did we leave on Thursday? No, we didn't. Thursday was the wake. Friday, he stayed home. Saturday, we had do we have the Christmas party on Saturday? No, we were just home. I don't know. I'm all so confused. Sunday, we had the Christmas party, and we still had to go. From the Christmas party, we drove to Cape May. This is our life. And I know I did something on Friday and Saturday. I just can't even remember what the heck it was. So you guys, something else. Like, you know that I take a little snip off these squishies. We have so many of them. But I found another use for my squishies that I have. Like, extra ones that I have. Like, look at this pen. This is absolutely... You could tell I cut this one to make a stopper for this tray. See, I make a stop. It didn't come with a stopper, so I make one. But with my extra squishies that I have, I must have cut that one too, did I? I use it to put as a, like, I need a full one, so I use it to put a cover on my. I must have cut this one too. This must be the ring with my cut ones, but or maybe these are just not the ones that I like. But I use it to cover my tweezers. No, you can't open them, but that's what I do. I use them to cover my tweezers. I'll put these on here. They're extra. Just in case you lose that cover. I didn't lose it on this one, but I do. I think it's the other squishy that I like on there. And they're at the corner of my desk, and it's like they're miles away to try and lean over and get it. I guess this was on here. Maybe these are the old fat ones. So I don't know. I'm not complaining about my Diamond Art Club placer today. I love the scent coming off of here. It's so nice to have that. It's almost like having a candle burning. It's so nice. Need all the little things. And so we get to what I call the No Motel. I stay at the Victorian Motel. Hotel. It looks like a hotel. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a motel. Whatever. It's across from Congress Hall. I stay there. And I call it the No Motel. Because there's signs everywhere of what you cannot do. Everything is no, 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 no. It's so funny. There's no's everywhere. And so she calls, I think her name is Lindsay. She calls my husband. I refuse to talk to her. I had one interaction with her. I'm like, all the meditation in the world, I can't deal with this woman. I just can't. So she calls John the day before. Don't you jump up here. No. So she calls John the day before. She's like, John, are we on for Sunday? You're on a hotel. You're not out on a date with my husband. You know, you're not going to a club or, you know, dancing. Are we on for Sunday? And he's like, yes, Lindsay. Do you know what time you're going to be done with your Christmas party? Check-in is at 4. Our Christmas party is at 3. In New Jersey. And he's like, well, I'm hoping to leave around 3 because check-in is at 4. So, but, you know, depending on, you know, I might leave at 3. I'm like, he's explaining all this to this woman. The room is paid for. We might leave at 3. Might leave at 3:30. So maybe, well, what do you think you're going to be there at 4? Like, she wants an exact time that I'm showing up at this hotel. We get into the car, 3 o'clock. Because now my husband, he can't even really enjoy, he is enjoying the party, but he's got on his mind that this woman is waiting for him to check in. You know, we should leave. I'm like, no, I'm staying for cake and I'm staying for coffee. Do you want me to call Victoria? I call her Victoria because it's the name of the hotel. You want me to call Victoria and tell her we're going to be a while? We're in the car. It's 4:01. I look at the clock because you know, the phone call comes up on your dashboard. 4:01, Victorian Hotel, Motel, whatever. John, are you on your way? How much longer are you going to be? I'm like, wait. All to tell us. You ready? Well, we're off to our Christmas party, so nobody's going to be here in the office. Now, my husband goes from 0 to 180 like that. He's like, Victoria, I'm in the car. It's pouring raining. Like, you know, you got me on the phone. The traffic is terrible. Oh, no. Well, you could pull over. Yeah, okay. And he's like, well, what do you mean you're not going to be there? Like, I'm going to get there? And she's like, no, I want to let you know that we put the key in the lockbox. And I sent the instructions to your email. You couldn't tell me this when we made the reservation? Like, oh, you're going to a Christmas party? So are we. So if you're not here by 4, John, don't worry about it. You know, the key's in the lockbox. I'll send the instructions to your email. This is all she had to do. Oh, my God. But she wanted John in the office because she wanted him to sign all her papers of all the things that we can't do. Okay? Like I've been saying with you for 5 years. You don't know me by now? Oh, my God. I'm holding my head right now. He's like, I gotta go to the office. You want to come? No. Here, add another no to the list. No, I'm not coming with you. I already did one thing with this woman. I'm not doing any more. Something fell behind my desk, and I don't know what it was. Oh. Forgot what I was talking about. Oh, the no motel. So it's like, you can't take the, you know, the little luggage racks that you have. You can't put them in your room. Don't put them in your room. Empty your cart outside. Okay, I understand, because I'm a clean freak. Don't even look at my place today because you would scream. But no, I understand. Don't bring the carts inside. Don't hang the towels over the reels. No, there's not a lifeguard. You know, no smoking, no e-cigarettes. No. I went down to the soda machine. I'm like, there's no soda in the soda machine. They don't want you having anything inside their. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's just crazy, and it's enough now. I think this year is going to be my last year with them because it just was so annoying. It was just so annoying. You know, we could have stayed at the party. I didn't have to leave. I wouldn't have left. He was just being, you know, crazy. I wouldn't have left, but he was like, come on, I really want to get on the road. It's been raining all day. But our friends do this beautiful party every year. Joanne and Anthony, they do this beautiful Christmas party every year. And it's a Griswold theme. And they invite their family and friends. And they've had John and I on the list since we got engaged. And, you know, Anthony is an awesome drummer. He's always working. It's not like you can make plans with Joanne and Anthony because Anthony's always like on the road most of the time. But, you know, he's home, but he's on the road. He's always working, or he's practicing, or he's helping someone. He he did the tracks for the song that my husband wrote for me for our wedding, and he's just a really great guy. We love Anthony, and we love Joanne. Joanne's a scream. And so Joanne does this whole Griswold theme. I have to put some pictures up. And she's got this year, last year she had Clark, a big cutout of Clark. This year she had Ralphie in the pink bunny rabbit outfit from A Christmas Story. And the cake was, "You'll shoot your eye out, kid." Delicious red velvet cake. "You'll shoot your eye out, kid." And one of her family came in the pink bunny outfit. Her brother was in a Christmas tuxedo that lit up. They're just such fun people, and we have the best time, and the food is great. And John and I look forward to it every year because it always happens either before or after our anniversary, but usually before, where we're taking off for Cape May. And so I wanted to stay. I don't get to see my friends that often. They're not that far away from me, but I wanted to stay, and I wanted to hang out with them and their family because they're so fabulous. I took so many pictures. Anthony was like, "You're taking a picture of the stairway?" I'm like, "Wait until you see it." Wait until you see it. Wait until I get my reel together, which I will. And what else do I have to do? So I did all my writing while I was away, and then came into my own home and just was like, it looked like somebody threw a bomb in here. It looked like somebody threw a grenade in here. And I was like, if I don't sit down and make a video and catch up with my subscribers, it's just not going to happen because John's on an early schedule today. So he'll be walking in the door at 3:30. And if I don't get this done now, forget it. Forget it. And of course, I really missed my painting, and I wanted to see how my putty was going to work. We're getting a groove now. We're getting a groove. So I did my reading. I took Book of Awakening with me, and I did the reading. I couldn't wait for the reading on my anniversary because even though I've gone through this book, maybe it's 6 years now I've gone through, and there are days that I didn't get a chance to read, and I just skipped that day, and I figured, well, it'll come back around again. It does every year. So John went to breakfast, and he was like, "Oh, you're not going to come with me to your anniversary? I really think that you should come with me." And I'm like, John, I don't, fall with labels and stuff like that. Like, we ate late last night. I just don't have the room in my stomach to go out to breakfast. And I know you want to go because he has to take naproxen for his back. So go ahead, go. Take your book. Oh, guys, let me tell you about the book. So I'm like, take your book, go, and I'm going to do my writing. So when he came back, I had his anniversary cards ready. That was the other reason why I didn't want to go with him. And I had stuff that I bought him in Cape May, and when I gave him the book, I had his anniversary card in December the 12th, which I'm going to read when I see you guys for Self-Care Sunday. He closed the book and he was like, "I read this exact thing while I was having breakfast at the Blue Pig." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I have my book." He's reading Difficult People. And he's like, I didn't read this exact thing, but it was this exact thing. It was the same exact topic. I can't believe that I'm reading it again, but in a different language. And I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And so we sat there for the longest time and just, talked about this reading and, how it affected him and how it affected me. I'm like, "John, when I read it, it just was so appropriate." And I know when you read it, if you have the book or you read it, it was probably so appropriate for you because that is the magic that is Mark Nepo. He is a gift. He's a gift. He's a gift to anyone that picks up his work and falls in love with it. But John had all, when I said take your book and go, go read, go enjoy yourself. I'm not going anywhere. But I want to, finish my writing. And, I was on a tear with just ideas and stuff. So I didn't want to stop. And, of course, I was still full from the night before. I could do this all day, push these in. So we, being that he stayed home, the wake was Thursday, and he was home Friday, and he was still feeling a little depressed. Memories of his mom and all. He said, do you want to watch Killer of the Flower Moon? I'll buy it. I'm not going to rent it. Because we happen to like Scorsese, who, aha moment, Julia Cameron. After all these years of reading Julia Cameron, I never knew that she was married to Scorsese and had a baby, as a daughter. Anyway, Dominicus Scorsese. I was like, yeah, you're home, we can watch it. And John and I like to eat early. So I was like, what about if we do takeout? Just not to even make a mess in the kitchen. And he's like, yeah, that's good. What do you want? Because he's like, I know what I want. I'm like, I want that square white pizza that we get. And he's like, it's exactly what I want. Now, I knew he was going to say that because we're always dancing on the same moonbeam, him and I. So, well, I looked for the color. So, I look like I combed my hair with a firecracker. Oh my God. So he's getting the movie running, and then he's going to call City Pizza, and we get this veggie Italian. It's roasted red peppers, broccoli rabe. It's got, what am I forgetting? Roasted peppers, broccoli rabe. Provolone. Mozzarella, but it's like in a white, I'm forgetting a veggie. I don't know which one. Anyway, it's delicious. Who cares? It's so good. Now we're sitting down, and my husband has done so much reading on, he's proficient in everything. I mean, he's been reading from when he was a little boy. When he gives me a book and he says, here, I think that you would really like this book. I read this when I was 8 years old. I'm like, you read this when you were 8? I'm having a hard time comprehending it now. He's like, Lisa, I'm a lifelong reader, and like, this is one of my favorite stories. And again, because I know I brought this up before, I don't know what was going on in Catholic school that we were reading, like, the reincarnation of Peter Proud. I think they made like 2 movies on that book. And he read this as a little boy, and he said, it scared me to death. I'm like, of course it would. I didn't think the Catholic Church believed in reincarnation anyway. They had us reading these books. But 5 minutes now, if to watch a movie with my husband, you got to have a good night's sleep, and you got to have like 20 espressos, because all he's going to do is like hit the pause button and talk about the one sentence that was said. Okay. So he has already hit the pause button. The pizza's being made. And he's like, I've read a lot about Native Americans. I don't remember that. No spoilers. No spoilers. This is, and in fact, the movie is called Killer of the Flower Moon, and it's a Scorsese movie, and it's like 3.5 hours long. Leo loves these long movies. Scorsese loves making them, and they're like a match made in heaven. So, I'll put this back down now that I found the color. So, I just have to put this here so I remember which one I'm working on. So, 5 minutes into the movie, he's hitting the pause button. He's like, I read so much about American Indians, Native American history. And he's like, I thought this was a historical. So now he's looking it back up. Is this historical? Is this true? And he's like, oh my God, this is true. I never heard of this tribe. I was like, all right, well, let's watch the movie. So we start watching it. And I will tell you, we were going to wait for my son, because he was like, if we buy it, no sense in my son buying it and watching it. Come over, we're having pizza. He can't. He can't come over. He'll watch it another time. He was staying with Fufi this week, and he said, I'll watch it when you guys are away. He said, but my friend sent me this text message, and she was like, don't do it. I can't get 3 hours back. I'm like, she don't know what she's talking about, because the movie was fabulous. I'll just put that out there right now. I'll watch it again. That's how good it was, and it was 3 hours long. So we're watching the movie. We're all involved. The story is great. It was so good that my husband went out and bought the book, and he read it while we were on vacation in Cape May. It's already done. I should have brought Leo over here. I could tell you a story about Leonardo DiCaprio. So, what did I want to tell you? But not no spoiler. I love the movie. He went out and bought the book. I told you that. Oh, the pizza. So the pizza comes. We're starving. We didn't eat all day. He was home, so we were running around like gypsies. I'm getting done all the stuff that I can't get done when he's at work, because you know, he's got the car. So we were starving. We didn't stop to eat, nothing. When that pizza came, that was our first mistake. We were 10 minutes into the movie. The pizza came. It's so good, this pizza. I could only eat one slice because it's Sicilian. It's the square, very thick. 5 minutes later, we were both sleeping. We woke up. The movie was like going into its second hour. He's like, well, I was like, I don't know. We ate this freaking pizza. We're both snoring. We're both like, you know, out of it. He's like, oh, start it over again. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a movie that never ends. But we got through it. And we were just like, we were really spellbound by it. I didn't know all about this either. So, telling you about Leo. So, my ex-husband's family is Lombardi's Pizza in New York, which is America's first pizzeria. Okay, so it's a tourist stop. It's iconic, all that, and it's a celebrity stop. And I will say that my ex-husband did a very good job at allowing celebrities to come in and not, you know, he had like a private entrance that they can come in, so they would call him, you know, and then others would just come through the door, like Leonardo DiCaprio when he was, you know, when he was dating Giselle. And now Giselle's an Amazon, okay? The woman is like 6 something, you know, so he comes up to the line and he walks up to my hostess who's new, and he's like, how long of a wait is it going to be? And she's like, oh, it's going to be like 2 hours. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll come back. She was young. She didn't know who he was. I'm like, you didn't look at his girlfriend and just like be like, oh. But, you know, I guess he's just very sweet, and he didn't want to be like, oh, well, do you know who I am? So, what was I going to say? So now I was out of the restaurant, and I don't even think I was working for them anymore, because we had left Philadelphia, where we owned where we had a Lombardi's, and I couldn't deal with the pace of New York, and there was too much family working there, and I just thought, this is just it's too much. I'm going to go out and go do my own thing, which was art, and that's what I did. And so I think I came down to the restaurant with a girlfriend or something. They were like, oh. I was like, oh, who's the new girl? She's really pretty. She's in front. Really nice. She seems really sweet. He's like, yeah, she just turned away. Leonardo DiCaprio came in with Giselle. I'm like, why? He's like, she didn't know who he was. Okay, so whatever. I'm there another day, and I got to get my coffee on, and I want to go to the coffee shop that's in the opposite direction, but there's a parade happening. Oh, I can't use this thing right now, and you can't get through. And I'm like, all right, well, then I'll go in the other direction on Mott Street, and I'll go to Gimme Coffee. And I'm walking to Gimme Coffee, which is like a block away from Lombardi's, and all I see in front of me are two little Yorkies. Somebody's sitting on a bench outside of Gimme Coffee, and there's two Yorkies on a leash. And that's all I see. I have Yorkies. And I'm like, oh, look at you, how cute you are. And they're jumping up and down, and I'm looking at them, and I'm petting them. I'm like, I have two Yorkies too. And I hear, you know, the person that told them the leash say, oh, aren't they the best? I'm like, oh my God, I have a love and I have an honor. Which your Yorkies' name? I gotta put this down a minute. What are your Yorkies' names? Now, I'm stooping down because I'm petting the Yorkies. And so I have to look up at the person that's sitting on the bench. And you guessed it, it's Leo. And all I can tell you is the sun was directly behind his head as I'm looking up at him. And it had like these beams of light, rays of light coming out. He looked like Jesus. It looked like a halo around his head. And I'm looking at him, and I know that I'm looking at Leo. And I'm thinking, oh my God, are men allowed to be this pretty, this beautiful? He was young. He was absolutely stunning. Just stunning. I couldn't even talk. He had no pores on his face. His skin was like translucent. And now, when you're my age and you kneel down to pet two Yorkies, you forget that you can't get back up. Oh, it was a scene. It was a scene. And I realized that I'm looking at him now with like this kind of a look on my face, this dumb, stupid look, while he was like, well, which are your Yorkie? He said something about Yorkies. What was their names? Or I was asking him, and I'm trying to get up gracefully. And, you know, of course, he helps me. And I just want to get and give me coffee before my legs go out, and either from sheer shock or from being, you know, squatting down. and I said, I'm so sorry. That's what I said. I said, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry that I'm staring at you, but I'm also sorry that you came into my establishment and you were turned away. Well, that was it. You know, I said, you know, I'm sorry. He was very nice. And I go and give me coffee now. I'm shaking. It's always, you know, I always say I'm not affected by meeting, but how could you not be? And I'm in Gimme Coffee now, and I have my phone, and I'm looking at this app that I put on there, and the only reason why I put it on there was because it was an 8 on its side in like a rainbow color, and it was called 8-track radio. And the only reason why I put it on there was because it was an 8, and if you guys know, my Gmail has an 8 in the beginning and the end of the Gmail, and it's my favorite number, and it's also the infinity symbol. And he came up behind me, and he went, "Oh, do you like that app too?" I was like, no, I just downloaded it for the app, for the logo. I was like, no, I just downloaded. He's like, oh, it's a great app. It's an 8-track radio station. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to play it now. He was really sweet. He was really nice. But like I said, he was young. He didn't look anything like he looks now. He was young. I mean, just go back to the Giselle era. That's what he looked like. And every time I watch James Corbin do carpool karaoke, where he takes somebody to work, and it's the episode with J-Lo. She's in the car, and he's just going on about her phone, and he sends Leonardo DiCaprio a text that, you know, he sends it as J-Lo, and she's supposedly asking him, like, she wants to cut loose and go out, and we're like, where should she go? And he's like, Clubwise, boo-boo? You mean Clubwise, boo-boo? And They actually made T-shirts that say that. You mean tonight, Clubwise Boo Boo? I'm like, I said to John, "You're getting me that shirt for Christmas. I want it." He's like, "Okay, easy, easy, it's done." But he was really. I mean, John and I just watched him in Hoover. He was very good in that. There's a few Leo movies that I have not seen that I wouldn't mind watching, but he was so good in this. Like he's such a good actor. He was so good, and it's such a compelling story. You're going to get sucked in. You're going to want to watch it again, or at least have it in your library that you watch once a year. Absolutely. And I have a few other ones on my, that are in theaters now, and John and I just are not comfortable in a movie theater. He likes to talk, and I like to get up and move around. If it's like not a 30-minute kind of a thing, like, I right now all I could do is like 30-minute clips of like TV shows because I just can't sit long. I'm always doing something. And my son turned us on to The Bookie with Sebastian Maniscalco, which I have to say is a hell of an actor. I just watched him. Oh, it's funny because Ray Romano was in that one too, and Ray Romano was in this one, The Bookie. I think it's called Somewhere in Queens. He was really. I was like, you know what? Sebastian is a really good actor. It's not just a comedian. He's a really good actor. We enjoyed that. But I have other like big like blockbuster movies on my Apple waiting to be dropped, like Joaquin in Napoleon. I want to see that. There's something with Julia Roberts that just dropped while I was away. I think with Ewan McGregor. Is it Ewan? No, or Ethan Hawke. I'm confused. I haven't really enjoyed a good Julia movie though in a while. So, I mean, like the last one I think I enjoyed was like My Best Friend's Wedding. Could that be possible? I'm sure she made something after that I enjoyed. There's something about, did I like Eat, Pray, Love? Because it was Elizabeth Gilbert's book that she did. Or could I have seen someone else in the role? You know who I could have saw in Eat, Pray, Love? I know exactly who I could have seen in for Eat, Pray, Love. Diane Lane. Oh, what a fabulous actress. I definitely could have seen her. I still can't get over her scene in Unfaithful when she was sitting on the train. And I think it was a pivotal part, so I'm not a spoiler. You'll have to watch it yourself. But she's sitting on the train. She lives in, like, I think in the Hamptons, and she's going into Manhattan to meet her lover. I mean, the movie is called Unfaithful, so I'm not giving anything away. And she's sitting on the train, and she is having this array of emotions. This is still hot, thanks to my cozy. She's having this array of emotions just come across her face. That is just incredible. You know, it's one thing to be sad or be regretful or remorseful. It's another to have them come across your face, in the rapid fire that I think that one scene, she should have gotten an Academy Award just for that one scene that she did. It was so incredible. But she's one of my favorite actresses. I just watched Under the Tuscan Sun again. I think so there's something about Julia Roberts that just doesn't come off to me as believable. And now they're teaming her up with Clooney, it seems like, a lot. And I saw the one where they were an ex-married couple and their daughter's getting married, or their daughter wants to go live on an island somewhere with her her beau and his native people to the island. I can't remember. And that was good. I mean, it was good. Like, I really don't. I don't know. I'm gonna reserve my judgment for when I watch. So I did watch the movie, and I have to tell you that it terrified me. It is called Leave the World Behind, and not for the faint of heart. This movie of hers. I was always a fan of her brothers. Maybe that's it. I was always a fan of Eric Roberts. I adore him. Oh, adore him. Eric Roberts. I love that one with Kim Basinger, where he's married to her, but I think he's supposed to be Greek. And he's like a mafia guy, and oh, he's just so malevolent, and oh, he was so good in that. I don't think he's ever gotten the credit that he deserves as an actor. What else is on my list? I have Napoleon. I know that there's a lot coming out. I still have to see Oppenheimer. I want to see that, and I don't even think that John knows that there's such a movie as Oppenheimer, and I'm sure that he would love to see that. What else are we doing with ourselves? I really wanted him to. I was filming the last video that I did before I left, and I said, John, do you want to sit in with me for like, this is only 2, for like before we go away, and like, why don't you sit in with me and we'll have like a discussion about Self-Care Sunday, because I know he loves Self-Care Sunday. And he's like, oh no, I have to get, you know, my husband is old school. This is not going to work. He's like, I have to get, you know, I'm out of the shower. I have to go pick something to wear. I'm like, no, it's just casual, John. Just casual. Just have a casual talk. Me and you. We'll talk about something. You know, we always have these really great conversations. Just like when he came home from breakfast and he read Book of Awakening for our anniversary date, and we sat there for 45 minutes and had it was like, you know, I have to remember to just get my phone and record these talks that we have. He's like, I know, I was thinking the same thing, because he just can't wait to retire. He can't wait. He's retiring in September. And he's like, I'm so happy that you're doing your YouTube. And, you know, he's like, you know, it was something I've always wanted to do, was have my philosophy talks. I'm like, yes. And he's like, and now you can help me with it. I said, of course, I can help you with it. He's like, you know, I would like for you to, you know, come on my channel and us to have these discussions that we have. I'm like, absolutely. Would love to. And, you know, and I feel the same way about him. Like, I would love for you to get your point of view. Now, Foofy, you see, it's getting to it's over an hour. This cat, I don't know. What were you in another life? Were you a clock keeper? What did you do? Did you wind clocks? What is it? An hour? And he's tearing at my chair because it's like, you're done, lady. It's snack time for me. Look at him. Look at him. Look at the face. Look, he thinks I got a snack. You're bad. Well, it is an hour. I don't want to keep you guys. I could keep talking forever and ever. What I'm going to do is like add to this video a pan over of where I am once I get the coffee and the chocolate and the waffle and the book and everything out of the way. Because I have to tell you, I can't wait for Miss Crimson to be done. So for 2 reasons, she's got to go in my window. And also because I am having a heartbreak over the winter fox. I want to get her back down here, and I want to start working on her. Plus, I have 2 unboxings. Plus, I have all these ideas that I wrote down while I was away of what I want to do on this channel. I love you guys. So Go out and create and tell me what you're creating. I love when you comment and I comment back, and I just love this little community that's happening here. And I hope you guys had a good weekend. There's another one almost coming up. How about that? So excited. All right, I will see you soon, very soon. I have a lot to record. Love you guys. Bye. Hi there, guys. I promised you a pan over once I was done with the section that I was working on. And as you can see, I'm not done with the section I was working on. And look at how crazy all the squares look. So I have to fiddle around with those. And what I was doing was, of course, playing with Foofy for a little while because he was getting a little crazy. I know I've been gone for a couple of days, and he was really bad before I left. He just was. I really don't know this cat. He's adopted. So I'm getting sidetracked because I'm looking at how beautiful Crimson is. She was actually hanging up before I put her back on my desk. I cleaned my desk off. And I just was walking into the room, and I just caught a glimpse of her coming in the room, and I was like, wow, she is just really, really, really stunning. Really stunning. Let me get this a little bit better here. I'm going to put something behind her. Hold on a second. So I didn't get done that little section, mainly because of Foofy, but also because the putty. And so we all know the deal with the putty. The putty, if it's sticky, the putty, if it's hard, if it's sticky, put it in the freezer. And I can't keep getting up and down to put the putty in the freezer. Even if I put it in there, the instructions were to put it in for a few hours. So I went into the kitchen and I got a cup of ice. And there are times that I do put my stylus down. And I thought, well, when I'm changing colors, I'll put the stylus on ice. When I am fiddling around with these drills that need to be, aligned a little bit more, nicely, or just aligned, I can put the stylus on ice. So that wasn't working. I don't know what happened. It wasn't that it was wet, because it really didn't get wet. It was cold. It still wasn't working. And when you have a piece of putty in your stylus, how well it works. It just works. It just works really nicely. And I wasn't getting that tack down and pull back without it being all over the place. And I just don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. And so yesterday I'm sitting here, and I'm always trying to figure out how to make something work. And I thought, you guys know that I do clay molds too. I do these clay molds. And I thought, would a little cornstarch work in my stylus? And let me tell you, it did a nice job, but I'm still not happy with putty. So if you all would just give me some idea of what you use for putty, what is your favorite putty? I mean, the putty was great. I don't want to knock this seller that I got this from. The putty was great, but it's still, if it's not like a perfect 72 degrees in my house, maybe even cooler, it's just not working. Or maybe it's the essential oil that's used for the scent, which was beautiful, and that's what keeps me using. That's what kept me using this putty. This was winter candy apple, and I'll tell you, while I was using it, the aroma was so beautiful. It was like having a candle lit. But I did just dip my pen. This is my cornstarch that I use with my clay molds. I did just, and you put it in your clay mold so that your air dry clay does not stick. So I thought, maybe, will it? I don't know. Let's give it a try. The other thing that I went out and bought was these little, I know that people use micro dots. They say that they use micro dots for their single placer. Now, I have these adhesive dots. I use these in card making, and I can just cut them in fourths and create a micro dot. These might be a little bit too big. Maybe I'll have to cut them a little bit more. And I could create my own micro dot. I don't have micro dot adhesive. And are you just rolling it up and placing it in your single placer instead of wax? And how's that? People say that they love their adhesive dots, that they work beautifully. So my loves, tell me something I don't know, because I don't know the answer to this one. I truly don't. I was watching Katie yesterday from Diamonds and Washi, and I was watching her, do a conversion, and she just put her, I think, Putty. And I noticed even too, she wasn't really, too concerned with the putty that's hanging off the edge. I kind of, and picking up drills, not just in the center of the aligner. I'm picking up drills that are also along the sides of the tray. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. So if somebody can just give me a little help, much appreciated. But it's always a learn. We're still learning, aren't we? We're just still learning. So I hope you love Crimson as much as I do. Look at her. She's just so stunningly beautiful. I cannot wait for her to get done. And if you want to tell me something else, tell me how you diamond paint as quickly as you do, because it's December the 14th. This is the next day. And Katie was talking about, she's going to do one more diamond painting and maybe something for the holiday. And I'm thinking, how? You're doing a conversion kit. And I've watched her do Loki, and it just is, how? You're a young woman. You have 2 children. I'm home alone by myself, and I can't get done. How do you diamond paint as quickly as you do? It's just a beautiful thing to watch. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off from me and this bad boy, Foofy. Bye, guys.